Divya is an amazing dancer, is a fantastic actor.
I'm South Indian. I would like to call myself South Indian, so I love my dosas and idlis a lot. If music starts, like my body will automatically move. It gives me immense joy.
The way you slapped me
Yeah.
for real
Yeah.
multiple times.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Bharatnatyam, we are going to architecture.
Yeah.
Interesting, but this is allowed on Jack of all.
Yes.
You sure your husband was not, spiking your food with some vitamin E or some... What you're describing actually is a creative withdrawal symptom. So, how did your parents deal with that? Did you tell anyone that? How did that impact you?
That was a turning point for me. I just feel like I didn't fit in.
You worked on a bunch of cool Microsoft products as well. So you realized you did a mistake.
Yes.
Being an Indian woman in United States, how do you see yourself versus other Indian women who are in India? And what are the things that can get better? I would like to welcome you, Divya Srinivasan, to yet another episode of Jack of All. Welcome so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. It's been a while since I had thought of having a show like this. And as I said, I mentioned you and I know each other for a while, so you know a little more about my personality than most of the viewers do. But I do hope that through these shows, I am able to communicate why this show exists and why I will do everything in my power possible to continue to produce this show. Um, Jack of All is about individuals who are not necessarily brave, but are courageous enough to embrace multiple pursuits of, uh, creative explorations, psychological explorations, linguistic explorations, anything that you think of, right? The show is about people who are not limiting themselves, but the discussion is about how. Because the perception may be that you are not limiting yourself, you are. But that limitation is still higher than others who are limiting themselves. So the point here is even if there is limitation, how does one get to a point that you are getting to? And one thing I share with most of my guests, because both of us are new to the viewers, right? They don't know a lot about us.
Yeah.
But I like to share the story of how I met you, when I met you, and what do I remember of that.
Yeah.
So the reason Divya you are here is because Divya is an amazing dancer, is a fantastic actor, actress. We have worked together on a couple of acting gigs, including a theater play as well as a short film. And you work in Microsoft, and you've worked on some really cool Microsoft products that we will, at a surface, talk about today.
Yeah.
And I remember a few years ago when Mansa and I moved to Seattle, we were looking for some extracurricular activities to do, and one of those was just to go and act in a play. I was very serious about it. I'm pretty sure Mansa was too, but at that time we didn't seem so. And we met a local play group who was basically putting this show together called Love You Zindagi. And we were there, the Microsoft campus actually. I was working at Amazon at that time. And we auditioned, and that's when I saw you. And my first impression of you was very poised, calm. I, for some reason, thought you would be a dancer, which you are. Are you classically trained? Yes. So I thought you would be a classically trained dancer. I thought you were an introvert. For a long time, actually, I thought you were an introvert. But then I found out that you are actually an ambivert. And we'll talk about that as well. But I just want to give a quick introduction about you in the context of how I met you. And that was a fantastic play. Everybody enjoyed it. Locally in Seattle, Redmond, Bellevue area, there were about 100 and 1,500 people who had come to in all of 4 shows. And yeah, since then, I think I have always admired everything that you do and the projects that we've been part of. Each time that we've interacted, I learned a lot. And so I thought you should be here and share all of those learnings with,
Oh,
different people
yeah.
around here. Yeah,
Uh,
welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm truly so humbled to be here, and like even what you just said about like this is a human to human talk, and Love You Zindagi brings back such good memories. Like for me, I think that's when I met you and Manasa. So it's where even like my love for acting started. So I feel like it's such a like moment in time where I made good friendships and translated in like my love for acting. So yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited for our conversation and what we are going to explore about each other. And yeah, so thanks.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your background. Where were you born, and how many, how's your family like, and how many siblings do you have? Place yourself. Today we are sitting here in Seattle, but where do you come from?
Oh my God, yeah. So I was born in a district called Gulbarga. It's in North Karnataka. So I'm South Indian. I would like
Mm-hmm.
to call myself South Indian. So I love my dosas and idlis a lot. Like it's just so I even did like a DNA test, and in that DNA test it said like I'm 100% South Asian. So it's like wow, my entire ancestry is also South Asian. So it makes sense why I love my idlis and dosas so much. So yeah, so I was born in Gulbarga. That's where my mom's side of family is from,
Hmm.
and it has a very like close place in my heart because we used to visit my grandparents' house every summer in Gulbarga
Hmm.
and spend time as a family there. Wahan pe. And then from Gulbarga, basically, I was brought up in Bangalore all my life. So I did my schooling and college and all of that, for
Hmm.
up to like 25
Hmm.
years in Bangalore. And after that, basically, I traveled around a bunch of places.
Hmm.
But I would like to think that my childhood was a very blessed and colorful childhood. Like,
Hmm.
um, I'm immensely like grateful for the environment that my parents like created for me as a child. Especially, I'm a very family oriented person. I think family holds very dear to my heart,
Hmm.
and it's a big. So my mom has 5 sisters. It's in my family. It's like my mom, dad. I have a younger sister. She's a fashion designer. She studied fashion design. Now she's working with my dad. And my mom has 5 sisters. My dad has a brother and a sister. So our cousins, like we're very, very tightly knit. So we're
Hmm.
like very close. We can just sit under the stars and like talk the entire night about anything and everything. So from that perspective, I feel like, to have a family where I feel so close to everyone, where I can, freely share my feelings and whatever I'm going through without any judgment or apprehension, I think is what I appreciate the most
Hmm.
about my family. To
Hmm.
have that space, to have that
Hmm.
kind of environment, I think is what I really
Hmm.
love about my family the most. And I know I've had friends who had like hard cut curfews, like by 7 o'clock I have to be home. So another thing is just the freedom that I got, like growing up as well, like as a woman. uh, my parents never said ki they never like gave that impression like tu ek ladki hai, you
Hmm.
have to stay home, you have
Hmm.
to be home by this time.
Hmm.
They taught me how to be street smart and what
Hmm.
I need to do to protect
Hmm.
myself. All those things were still there,
Hmm.
but they never like had that key. Okay, you're a girl and hence
Hmm.
so I had that freedom.
Hmm.
I never felt like I was confined to be home at a certain time. Or
Hmm.
and she would always be worried and she would call ki
Hmm.
where are you, when are you coming home. All that motherly thing was still there, but like I think that's another thing that I really appreciate about like my childhood is the freedom that I got growing up.
Right. So you have a sibling, you said.
Yeah,
She's a fashion designer. Younger sibling, is she in the US or India?
she's in Bangalore.
She's in
Yeah,
Bangalore.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you are Karnataka, then all you guys are you guys speak Kannada or you speak multiple languages?
So my mother tongue is Telugu,
Okay.
but I know multiple languages because of my uh, my mom is from North Karnataka.
Okay. Sorry, I
Yeah.
don't mean to be rude,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
How do you define mother tongue?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like mother tongue is what I grew up talking.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people say some people think it's the father's language.
Huh.
Some people think it's the mother's actual language.
Mm.
So, how are you Telugu? How did you speak Telugu when you were in Bangalore?
I think maybe that's my definition of mother tongue because that's my fact. Because
Mm,
I grew up speaking
I
Telugu,
see.
although my mother is Kannadiga, my dad's a Tamilian. But I grew up speaking Telugu.
Yeah.
So for me, my mother tongue is what I grew up speaking.
Yeah. For same reason, my
Yeah.
mother tongue feels Hindi because I grew up speaking Hindi in
Huh.
Mumbai. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom's from North Karnataka, so she's a pure Kannadiga. She speaks in Kannada with her family. My dad, he was born and brought up in Coimbatore, so he's a Tamilian. But when they got married, both of them knew Telugu. So like, yeah, I would call myself a Telugite, but it's like mixed with Bangalore Kannada here and there. Yeah.
That's nice. So you lived
Yeah.
all your life in Bangalore, and
Yeah.
before you came
Mm-hmm.
to different countries, and I want to talk about that as well. School.
Mm. School brings back a lot of memories. So I feel like the jack of all in me was actually shaped by the first school that I attended.
Mm.
So I was in a school called Twinklers. It was almost 25 kilometers away from where we stayed. It was very far, but what I loved about that school was it was heavily focused on extracurricular activities. They had like pottery classes, horse riding, swimming, dance classes. So um, I would engage in all activities except studying. Like for me, like I think studying was like the last thing. So I was not very academically oriented. I was very extracurricular oriented, and like I thrived in extracurricular in school. So in my fifth grade, because the school was too far, they decided to like move my school, and I went from a co-ed school to an all-girls convent school. So it was a huge like culture shift for me. I was like, "Kahan pe aa gayi main?" Like one day I was wearing colorful clothes, no uniform culture, and suddenly here you're like, you have to have your nails cut, you have to wear like proper uniform. So it was a huge shift in culture. So I just feel like I didn't fit in. In my school, especially fifth and sixth was very hard for me. Like it was a complete change. I didn't have like friends, and I just didn't. Yeah, like overall, like I think fifth to tenth, seventh to tenth was not bad, but like fifth and sixth, that's where although I felt very lonely in school because I participated in so many extracurricular activities and twinklers, I would just engage in any extracurricular activity that was there in my school back then. And I got like initiative certificate back to back in
Wow.
school, like both in fifth and sixth. But I think that was interesting because it was driven by the fact that I didn't have friends and I wanted to find ways to belong.
Yeah. What you're describing actually is a creative withdrawal symptom.
Hmm.
So, how did your parents deal with that? Did you tell anyone that? How did that impact you?
I think I didn't like share this for a while, and then eventually I think I shared it with my parents. But I think the reason why I didn't share it is not because I didn't feel safe or anything. It was just like I myself didn't know what was happening in that age. What am I really experiencing? Why am I feeling this? I just did what I knew best at that
Mm.
age. But I think it's those experiences have shaped me so much today when I think about it. But like when I shared it with my mom, she's like, "Why did you not tell me back in
Yeah.
back in fifth?" And I didn't have an answer.
Don't you think that's like a common response to your parents? I know our
Mm.
generation folks actually talk to our parents a lot about some childhood issues that we have, and we're like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Tell me, we need
Yeah.
answers. And then the parents are like, what? First answer is, what? When did I do that? Second is,
Yeah.
well, you should have told me, and things like that. At what level were you pursuing whatever art you were? Were you dancing, singing,
Mm.
classically training yourself? Tell me a little bit about that.
In my sixth grade, I joined Bharatanatyam dance classes near my house. My mom, I've always been very fond of dancing ever since I was a kid. Like, I still have like childhood videos from 4 years. Like my mom's like, you were born to dance. Like there are videos where if music starts, like my body will automatically move. It gives me immense joy. So, I went to dance class even when I was young, but like I stopped, and then in sixth, there was a guru who I trained classically under Bharatanatyam, but that was a turning point for me because I found like this place that felt like home, where I felt like, I would wait to go to my dance class, because even today, when I dance, I carry that memory that, yeah, this is how dancing actually makes me feel. It gave me a sense of belonging in times where I didn't feel belonged. So I feel like it has a very like deep meaning in my heart as well. Like it's like, just beyond what movement is. I think it also holds a very personal place in my heart. So when I dance, I actually do it for me, like not for anyone else. Like
So you could say dance saved you in a way.
yeah, I think save is a very big word, but like it gave me a lot of joy, and like a place where I felt like I
Yeah.
was seen.
Yeah.
Where suddenly like
Yeah.
in school, this new place, I just didn't feel like seen or like belong. So this place was like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is this is my place where I can be seen.
So while you were learning Bharatnatyam,
Yeah.
um, first of all, how long did you learn it for?
Mm.
And then, what were you thinking at that point of time about your life, even if you were?
So I joined in fifth, I think. So 6 years. Yeah, 6 years, and I completed my junior in Bharatanatyam, and I was on track for senior, and then I completely got distracted with college life and all that, and then I didn't pursue Bharatanatyam. To your question, like for me, like yeah, I think dancing back then was uh, I used to have so much fun. Whenever I used to go to like dance classes, we would learn like different choreographies. And she was never like a very strict type of guru. She taught us discipline, but she was not like too strict about it. So that's what I loved about that space. And we performed in a lot of places. So whenever I used to go on stage, I used to feel so good. Like just being on stage used to feel like I'm meant to be here, meant to do this. So it used to feel really good when I went on stage and performed, in my school days. And there is a funny story where in eighth grade, I was sitting with my friends in the playground and we were having lunch. Some kids were playing with a tennis ball, and that tennis ball came and hit my head, and I started to bleed. So I got a cut, which I didn't realize at all. So called my mom. My mom came like rushing. They took me in the car, took me to the hospital to get my stitches, and it was nothing big. Like it was, like a small cut, but it was pretty deep. So I had like quite a lot of bleeding. So the doctor said that instead of stitches, we have to staple. So I was like, you're gonna staple my head? That thought was very scary for me, and he's saying it like while I'm there. So I was refusing. I was very adamant. I was crying. I was telling my mom, and this was all when I was 14. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this until like they put me to sleep and do something, but I'm not doing this while I'm like wide awake. My mom said, if you don't do it, I'm not going to send you to dance class. I immediately like kept quiet and like went through it.
Wow.
So I think that's the impact that my class had on me. So it's like yeah, that story I said that because just to show the
Hmm.
parallel of what it
How
meant.
much it matters to you
Yeah.
to go or to not to
Mm-hmm.
go. While you were doing that, then your college Bangalore Days started, right?
Mm-hmm.
6 years of Bharatnatyam over. Now you're in college, junior
Mm-hmm.
college. Describe Bangalore college life.
11th and 12th was
Which college did you go to, if you want mind sharing?
yeah, of course. I went to Jain College.
Jane.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a famous college.
Yeah, it's called Mahavir Jain College.
All girls college or co-ed?
Co-ed. Thank God. Yeah, finally, all girls' day was over and I was in co-ed. Yeah, it was, I think, 11th and 12th, the best days, like college days. So, funny story again, there is, so when I started, there were 4 sections, A, B, C, D. And like A was all this was the only year where the college wanted to experiment and see what if we segregate students by the percentage that they received. So usually it's people are decided which section they're in based on alphabetically.
Alphabets, yeah, I remember.
Correct.
I'm a Naidu, so I used to always be in the last,
Last D or
last
something.
D or E
Yeah.
things, yeah.
So this time they decided they're going to do it by percentage. So A section was all like 90 kids, like 90%, and I was D. D section. I was not too bad. I got 72% in my boards, but like that class was noisy because they knew how to have like our class just knew how to freak out and have fun. So it was amazing. Like I had too much fun in college. I was also part of like NCC, National Cadet Corps. So I used to contribute a chunk of my time to NCC, like basically, you know, training, and then in my
What kind of training? Gun shooting, treks, what
yeah, so we
can you
had
tell me?
treks, we had
Skills.
shooting, we had a lot of strength training activities, we had marching, so
Rock climbing and
rock
all those things,
climbing.
yeah.
We used to have obstacles
So
that we used to
is this
do.
where your fitness thing comes from, or like, or was your involvement because you like that those kind of activities with NCC?
That was by chance. So in 12th, we had there were committees who came and just shared, okay, there is this committee. If you're interested, come join. Something I always had like an adventurous side to me. Like even today, I'm very
So
adventurous.
it wasn't for Desh Bhakti.
No,
Okay.
I'm
Still
like,
100% Desh Bhakt.
yes, India is like, of course, but
Obviously.
that was not the primary thing. It was
Yeah.
the adventure part that called to me, like treks and
Yeah.
doing obstacle races and things like that. So I think that's why I joined NCC, but I made very good friendships out of NCC. And, I think again, like that was a moment where, because in school, I think my self confidence dropped a little bit, but once, and I think this is also where how much friendships play a role in your self-worth and self-confidence, because I think that was the moment where I just regained
Yeah.
those.
You feel like a completely different person
Yes,
with the right friends.
exactly.
With the right friends, you're like a superstar. You know what I mean? And every friend is a superstar in
Yeah.
that group.
Yes.
Right? Wow.
Yes, so true. And I think those friendships there, that I made, like I'm still close to so many people even till date. Like one of
Was
my
it Bangalore Days kind of friendship, full on going musty, eating, bike rides and whatnot?
full on
Huh?
full Bangalore Day scenes. Like
Yeah.
we would hang out, like, so right across our college there used to be a cafe called SMV. So after college we would go hang out there, gappe marte the, full, like for an hour the whole gang used to stand there. We went and watched a Dhoom movie once as a group. Yeah, very very good like memories from those 2 years, like
Yeah.
both 11th and 12th. And architecture days were also amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So suddenly from Bharatnatyam we are going to architecture.
Yeah.
Interesting. But this is allowed on Jack of all.
Yes.
So, were you involved in any other art form other than dancing, like singing or acting? Did you do that, or was it all of it was here in Seattle?
Singing was another thing that I was into. So I think even as part of NCC, extracurriculars was very huge. So I used to sing and dance the most. So I've won, like, yeah, back then won some certificates and medals for those.
Did you learn classically singing?
No, I
Vocal?
learned Carnatic music as part of my dance.
Because your speaking voice is so sweet and melodious, I was like, probably you do sing or you don't sing. I don't know. Do you actually sing now actively?
I do, again. It's like I do it for myself. I used to sing a lot before. Sometimes when I'm at home, like I just still, record for myself, karaoke. Yeah, just.
So ये आर्टिस्ट सडनली फिर आर्किटेक्ट कैसे कोई प्रेशर कर दिया कोई धक्का मार दिया
नहीं प्रेशर नहीं था. It was, I was very confused in my 12th key what I wanted to do. I just knew what I didn't want to do.
Which was?
I didn't want to do anything like hardcore, like engineering.
Huh.
That was a no for me.
Huh.
So that was out. And then I also knew that I didn't want to take up things related to like science or, because I think my strength was more inclined towards arts. So initially, I wanted to do my uh, bachelor's in dance, like, and pursue dance. But then, like, when I was just talking to my dad, he didn't say no. He was just like, "Are you sure you want to do dance for your career? Like, it's a very competitive field." And my dad, he has worked his way up from, like, he grew up in a middle class family, and he moved to Bangalore on his own, and he set up a business and he grew to great heights. So a lot of respect for him over there for how he has a lot of value for working hard and making sure you are on your own feet. You're not dependent on anyone else for finances. So I think that was the main, like, feedback that you have. You do something where you feel like you're financially stable. He's definitely a jack of all, and my mom is a jack of all too, because she is a sitar player. She has done a lot of social work. She started a Mata Mahila Sangha, which is basically a women's organization.
I was checking your horoscope very quickly. Other than being a daughter of a multi-business person, you also have a little bit of traveling written in your kundli. Tell me a little bit more about, first half of your life, you never left Bangalore.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then second half of the life, in the very recent times,
Yeah.
every 1 year, 2 year in a new country,
Yeah.
from Netherlands to Canada, and being anchored to Washington, Seattle, having worked at Microsoft. Walk me through this journey.
Yeah. So I think I moved to Dubai. Not, I got an internship. So I basically studied architecture, and as part of architecture in my third year, we had to do an internship. So as part of that internship, I knew I wanted to basically uh, do something outside my city or country even.
Why architecture? Sorry, we didn't get to that very quickly. Why
Right.
architecture?
That's a funny story. It's because my friend, like I said, I was not sure what I wanted to do, and I was exploring a lot of options back then. But I wanted to do something that's inclined towards arts. And when I was exploring my options, I had photography as one of the options. Then I had medicine, because I was also into, like, biology. Third option, my friend helped me with this, which was architecture. She just said, "Hey, there was an exam called NATA exam that you have to give to become an architect." And she told,
National exam?
national exam. So she said, "Why don't we give this NATA exam? Let's just try it." SC, matlab, it was like, I just studied for NATA.
So it was not like you were passionate for
It was no.
architecture or something. ऐसे ही कर लिया.
ऐसे कर लिया.
Okay. Did you find out that you were good या बाद में you felt like अरे मैं तो फंस गई?
No, I think I developed a liking towards architecture. I think I wouldn't say I was the best at, like, being an architect, because I think there were a lot of other students who I like loved in terms of their creativity. But I thought that one day I would start my own firm, architecture firm.
तो क्या architecture firm में what did you want to do? You wanted to build homes, restore temples. What kind of architecture you wanted to do?
I was very interested in residential, actually, and the reason why is when I first got my first gig in Acme Designers. That was the name of the firm. I worked on different types of projects. I worked on, hotel, restaurants, interior design,
Lobby design, room design, everything.
Everything, different types of projects I worked on. But what pulled at my heartstrings the most was residential, and the reason is because the connection that I had with the client, and you were basically giving them a place that they can call home. Like, translating ideas into life and seeing it come in, like, that physical structure, and someone actually calling it their home, like, was a beautiful, like, feeling for me, because it was personal for someone.
Makes sense.
So
do you also interior decorate your own home or friends now as a part time, or you just
Not
चलेगा
really.
किसी और को दे देंगे या फाइन है
I like to. I
makes
still
sense
love to
were you good
interior
at
decorate.
it like were your clients if I talk to them now will they be like अरे यार कौन है वो मेरा घर मैंने बेच दिया or they will be like wow that was amazing Divya did a wonderful job
I wish you could ask them.
yeah
Yeah. I don't know. I feel I don't know how to answer that question because yeah.
no I'm just being funny I'm not putting you on the
No,
spot
no,
you don't
no,
have
no.
to answer
No, no.
but
Yeah.
what I'm trying to understand is I have noticed that when someone comes from passion, just like you said, right? Ki hotel lobby to anybody can design. And it's a generic experience. I go to a hotel lobby, I don't sit there and be like, oh wow, what a great job I mean, maybe the architect did a great job and I do appreciate it,
Yeah.
but not in a very, oh my god, this is amazing way. I would do that for my own home. So I do
Yeah.
get that sense. But
Yeah.
uh, were the clients any different? Did you have any difficult clients? Because it's such a hard job. You charge so much money for interior decoration. First of all, it's a service of luxury. It's not a service of necessity, which means that whoever is paying has many options. It's not majboor. So they are putting all of their desires and responsibilities of their desires on you, your little shoulders, right? As a new architect, you come in, you do, in your opinion, you do a banger of a job. But as a filmmaker or stand-up comedian or even as a product manager, I don't feel any first gig you can kill to a point where people will be like, yeah, it's worth all of the money that I threw at you. So difficult clients, difficult feedback. How did that impact you?
Oh my
Any
God.
story?
Oh yeah. I think so. One of my clients that I worked with, she was amazing, but she was
Rich?
Yeah. She was
because-
rich. They had a plot of land, and she was very big on Vastu.
Thank you so much for bringing it up because that's one thing that I feel like Indians, a lot of Indians are very much passionate
Yes.
about. They are hung up on that. Like
Yes.
even in the US.
Yes, exactly. मतलब
So
दूर-
architecture में आपको वास्तु भी सिखाते हैं इंडिया में? सिखाना चाहिए.
not in college.
But सिखाना चाहिए.
But सिखाना चाहिए.
Because it तो operate, be job requirement है.
Exactly. That was the challenging bit for me. And she was so particular which direction her toilet has to face. So I'm like, I don't know which direction toilet has to change, which direction is better for you. So for me, that was the most challenging part is when I had to understand, like now I've forgotten Vastu because I'm not too into Vastu myself. But I think there's a lot of science behind Vastu also.
Sure.
Certain things like, you should not sleep with your head on the north and because of the magnetic fields and things like that. But the detailed stuff, I've forgotten most of it. But I think that was for me the biggest challenge was going from a place of curiosity with my clients. Ki, why does this matter to you? What are you looking for? In your house, what do you need? So asking a lot of questions helped me understand why is she into Vastu and what does she need for her, for her home. So I think
Was there any difficult conversations you'd have or difficult feedback you had to take
during
during or after even? After is worse because you've already built it. Now you can't even go back.
So I have a story. It's not directly related to me, but it's also like I would also like to
just
take
share the story if
accountability.
it's funny, yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same client. The house is being constructed. She's very happy with the designs and all that. Okay, so the house is getting constructed, and this house had a basement ramp. So the car had to like go down the ramp. And we have, as architects, we have to go on site and inspect and make sure everything is right. So I'm not sure if this was inspection from my end or if there's some other hiccup happened later. The height from the ramp to the ceiling was messed up. Imagine after all the construction happened, it was a huge overcost. We were like, what just happened, because they basically had to redo the whole that section. So that time I remember my client was really mad. She was like, this is cost on my end.
Yeah, of course.
So we also had to compensate as a company. But I think that construction flaw was also such an important lesson from the perspective of you have to be mindful of every detail. There's also saying God is in the details, like in architecture. So Yeah, I think it's just like being mindful of, every single thing.
What did you not like about it?
Long nights
And
and
calling
sleepless nights.
anytime.
Calling, oh
Clients
yeah.
calling anytime.
True. They would call me like in the night, weekend, but that didn't bother me so much actually. But what I didn't like is academically. I actually loved practicing as an architect. When I was working as an architect, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, like it was a very creative field. And what I loved is it was a field like it was run by a woman, and I looked up to her a lot. Like that she was running this firm and
Did you feel like Tara Khanna from what is that series called?
a bay, right? No.
No, no, no. Tara Khanna, Shobita from Made in Heaven. Did you feel like Tara Khanna from Made in Heaven?
I've forgotten that reference.
Yeah, but that's nice. So just,
Yeah.
any other interesting story from that world, or we can move to the US
Yeah,
or
I think I think one thing I want to say is that the autonomy that I got there. It was I still remember I got like two positions, when I was looking for architecture jobs. One was they were doing very large scale commercial projects. I got better salary there. This was another project, this was another firm. She gave me half the salary. But that's when I questioned what is important to me at this point. Is it money or is it something else? And for me, I think what called to me at that point in my life was the fact that she did not give me just a small piece of a house to design. She said, I will give you full ownership, end to end, client interaction to concept
This was your
to
first
design.
project?
Not the one I was talking with. So she was always there to mentor
I
and
see.
she would review everything. But she's like, you take the first pass on concept. You do it. Like, you tell me
And that
what.
was your first boss.
Yeah.
So a nice, strong woman boss.
Yes.
Did she ruin you or spoil you for the rest of your life?
No.
No? You found
Thank
better
God.
people after that? Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And what what happened after that?
Yeah.
What got you out of India?
Yeah, so then so I went to Dubai to do my internship in Architecture
Oh,
Days. That
nice.
was my first gig. So I always like to tell people I've lived in 5 countries. So
Wow.
I lived in Dubai for my internship. Then I went to Netherlands to do my masters in Eindhoven, and then when came back to India. Then I
Canada?
Canada.
Mm.
So I stayed in Canada for about 2.5 years.
Interesting.
And then US, of course.
Yeah.
That's where I am, and
Yeah.
back home, India.
So
Yeah.
tell me about the whole Netherlands thing and
Hmm.
what did you learn out of that and why was it important to take hard decisions in your life? What did you
Yeah.
learn out of that?
Yeah, I think my Netherlands journey was, again, this, I would say, another difficult phase in.
Mm. So in X year you went to Netherlands to
Yeah.
pursue your
To 2013. Was it 20? Yeah, 2013 I went to pursue my masters. So it was a completely like new country.
where in Netherlands?
In a place called Eindhoven.
Eindhoven.
Yeah, Eindhoven.
So you were like, I'm in Netherlands, but I ain't doing masters.
Right. That's so funny. Yeah.
How far is it from Amsterdam?
It was 2 hours by train.
Wow, this is so amazing that we have a poster of Amsterdam right behind you,
Oh,
and right underneath it there's a poster of AKELI.
AKELI. A movie that's very close to my heart.
Yeah. So I ain't doing that. You're in I ain't doing that. So in Netherlands. So
Yeah.
tell me what happened.
So I went there to pursue my master's in social design.
Social design.
So what was interesting to me about this course is when I like read about the course, it was the premise of the course was you will be taught how to design products for the better of the society. So from that perspective, it was really interesting. But what I didn't realize is, and it was not written anywhere in course description or anything, you had to know how to work with wood. You had to know how to work with metal. So you were asked to actually build things. And I was not
You
like
builder.
a builder,
Yeah.
So I was I could conceptualize things, coming, but
Right.
I didn't have the necessary skill sets to build things from scratch. So they didn't have any courses, foundation, nothing to teach all of this. So from a technicality perspective, I think I really struggled with that aspect. Like I would still go into the workshop and try to teach myself how to build things. Like I would ask questions
So
over
why is
there.
this all about physical products only?
Uh,
I mean, from the university's point of view, why are they offering
yeah.
only physical products? Is the socialness of the program to do with
Hmm.
disability, or
No, no, no.
because I know
Yeah.
UX, you are in UX, and UX cares a
Yeah.
lot about
Yeah.
assist,
Inclusive design. Yeah.
inclusivity, and there's a word when you build an application.
Accessibility. Yeah.
Accessibility, yes.
Mm.
Accessibility is something that a lot of companies care
Yeah.
about, right? So was it about that? Because then my first question would be social. What is the degree's name? Social design.
Yeah.
Social design for products, but what kind of products?
Yeah.
Digital products, or non-digital products, tech products, non-tech products.
I think
Okay.
it was so open to
Yeah.
perception. Like, like I think some people had.
So you realized you did a mistake.
Yes.
How
And
how soon?
6 months in.
6 months in.
Mm.
Then
So for me, that was the turning point. Like I think I really had to ask myself, am I going to push myself to finish this course?
mm,
Then that was the phase where what I learned was, at what point do you say no, this is not for me? And I think there is a point that comes where you feel like if this is not for you, it's not for you. There's nothing to be ashamed of,
what were the things that were constricting you to make that decision quicker? For
to
example,
yeah.
thinking of family, money,
Mm.
friends, society. What was?
I think it was more myself thing of like I don't want to quit. Like, am I going to be a quitter if I do this?
Are you a different person now?
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
Yes, I used to be like that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a quitter, but now I'm like, I'm a quitter.
Yeah.
I happily quit.
Yeah.
This is not my place. It doesn't give me any joy.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
I think that's very important because, at
Yeah.
least in our generation, losing a year, canceling a program, and coming
Mhm.
back is like Kabir Khan coming back from losing the hockey match in Chakde. Everybody will write things with koila on your house,
House.
traitor, failure.
Exactly. I was
Ah.
afraid of that. Like, I mean, I knew my parents would not like say anything like that, but I think it's that self-image that you,
Yeah, of
form
course.
of yourself, no, that I'm a failure.
Yeah.
So
And
that,
you were young also
and
that
I
point
was
of
young.
time. Yeah, younger, and yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that was the biggest lesson, that it's okay for me to quit, and it's
Okay.
okay because it was not giving me joy. It was draining my energy like crazy.
Was it just the program or the place as well?
The place as well.
Ah.
Yeah. I actually, I would love to visit again as a tourist, but I think I don't see myself living there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that place? Did you choose it for the program or the place?
The program.
The program, of
Yeah.
course. That's what makes sense.
So there was another program that I saw in Milan, which was also it's slightly different, but I ended up like choosing this because it was intriguing.
Yeah. What would have not happened in your life if you had not gone to Netherlands? Because there has to be some connecting dot for that failure. Is there a story?
I wouldn't have got my job at Acme Designers because I think the job that I was talking about happened after I enrolled.
Ah.
So I would have missed out on all the opportunity and skill sets that I developed as an architect after that. So I think life would have taken a very different course in if I stayed there. So I just got like, I think better opportunities once.
Where did you meet your husband and when?
Oh, I met my husband in college.
Okay, so this was all happening while you guys are still
Yeah.
dating,
Yes.
or know each other at
Correct.
least. Yeah.
In fact, he was also in Netherlands back
In
then.
Netherlands. Ah,
Yeah.
so was there a decision to influence decision for both of you to be
100%. Yes.
his or yours?
Mine.
Mine.
Because he
okay.
was doing his masters in Netherlands already. So we were in a long distance relationship also. So it was like, you know,
I see.
why not like look
Yeah.
for a course?
Aren't you proud that
Oh.
you didn't continue with that for 2 years?
Oh, it's very, very
Yeah.
proud of myself. At that point I didn't realize it,
Uh,
but I think now looking back, I
Yeah.
realized that it was such a good decision
Yeah.
for me to like say it's okay.
Yeah.
I think it was also the guilt of I've paid for the course.
Yes.
I've paid such a
Yes.
big chunk of money for the course. So it was also the investment that you've put emotionally, physically, because you've traveled that distance, financially. So there was a lot of investment. So it's
Riding
like
money.
I had to think, is this the right decision, to, and my grandmom had cancer back then as well. And I was very fond of her, very close to her. So she was in Bangalore. So maybe that also weighed on me because she passed away during that time and I was in Netherlands. So that probably was, that weighed on me in some way or form too.
Yeah. Then you came back to India,
Yeah, then I
did Acme,
Acme
and then you left.
to
Got
US.
married and left.
Correct.
Got married
Yeah.
and came directly to Seattle?
To Boston.
To Boston.
Yes.
Wow, what did you do in
Yeah.
Boston?
So in Boston, I did my master's in information design and visualization.
So you went to Boston to do your masters?
Yeah. So Karthik, my husband,
Yeah.
he was in Boston. So I was very clear
I see.
that I want to look for
Yeah, of course.
programs in Boston.
Yeah.
But what happened is
Too old for long distance relationship now.
exactly.
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, we're getting married.
Yeah.
Gonna do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for a course there. Go to Boston. So found this time I was another thing I think that experience taught me is to do my research fully and see, am I really interested in this course? What draws me towards this
So
course?
Netherlands was a lesson.
The big
Expensive lesson, but lesson.
Exactly. Yeah. So before I took up this course, I actually did a mini course. I did a short course on Coursera to really understand what is information design and visualization. Is this something I'm interested in? I reached out to the professors in university and I asked them questions around what does this course entail? Can you give me a full, description of your curriculum? I reached out to another professor on LinkedIn. So I think that was a lesson from, and I loved this course. I absolutely loved this course. It's funny because initially I was like, I'm not going to do masters ever.
Yeah.
But that turned for me when I moved to Boston because I think that was the fastest path to.
And truly,
getting
that's
a
the
job.
reason. Yeah, no, absolutely. And truly,
Yeah.
that's the reason you and I here are sitting here today, because we have so many of these experiences that were hard lessons that we learned, and I don't want someone to be in that position right now
Yeah.
and have to have that have to learn that lesson themselves.
Yeah.
I want them to hear us and be like, yeah, that's okay. Divya did it. I'll be
Yes.
fine. Right? Nice. Boston.
Yeah.
Masters.
So I did my master's there in information design and visualization in Northeastern University.
Why?
So I was very sure that I wanted to continue in this creative path. What I was not sure of is if I should do architecture or something else because I was very fond of working as an architect. But then same na. So I did a lot of research on architecture. What does it mean to take up masters in architecture here? And academically studying architecture is brutal, like meaning it's very very tedious. It's you have long nights. So I felt like I didn't want to put my body through that. I think I was done with that in my
Hustle.
undergrad days. Yeah, because it's a lot on the body. So I wanted to prioritize my health and my wellness also and not compromise on that, but also do something that I feel passionate
And
about.
probably you wanted to shift from physical work to brain work, more of like, this more right brain to left brain, I don't know, in your
this
profession.
Still right brain.
Yeah.
I would say maybe a little left brain also
Yeah.
because I do have to. Yeah, like there are some skills that
Yeah.
require like logical
Technical,
thinking.
yeah, logical thinking,
Yeah.
critical analysis, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did my master's, and during that time, I lived in Boston for about 6-7 months, or maybe a little longer, and then I moved to Seattle.
That's it.
Yeah, and then I got
You
in.
finished your masters there in 6 months?
No. It was a 2-year course.
Okay.
But I did my second year remote. So I did it virtual. And the reason I did that is because Karthik had to move to Seattle
I see.
on job. So
Amazon?
Microsoft.
Oh,
He got
okay,
into
yeah,
Microsoft.
he got in Microsoft.
Yeah.
He's still with Microsoft?
He's still with Microsoft.
And you are
Oh,
also-
sorry. He's not with He's with a company called LTK. It's a startup.
Okay, and now you are with Microsoft.
I'm still with
Okay,
Microsoft.
so then how did Microsoft happen?
So I did an internship at Microsoft.
I
so
see.
as part of my
Yeah. You worked on a bunch of cool Microsoft products as well without giving any non-public information. Tell me, because I remember having those conversations with you where I was like, I am obsessed with this product. What was that product?
Yeah, it's called HoloLens. It's uh, it's an augmented reality device for those who might not know. But I think I was so excited when I got to know that I'm in this space because I didn't explicitly apply to be in this space. It happened by chance, and I lucked out, and that way, touch wood. But basically, it was such a great combination of my knowledge as an architect because I have spatial knowledge and as mine and combined with my knowledge in information design which was more 2D and graphical. So this was an opportunity for me to really bring in my spatial knowledge from architecture and my interaction 2D knowledge from my masters and bring the two worlds together. So I really enjoyed those that 1.5 years where I worked on in the augmented reality space. So it was I had a good manager as well back then. So I the team was very fun and it was just like a very disruptive space in terms of everything that was going on.
Wow, that's interesting. And one important lesson here is not lesson actually. One important learning here is कि intellect is also of different types, right? I'm not talking about the scale of the intellect. I'm talking the types of intellect are also different. There's spatial intellect. If you have that higher, then you are good, or you become more inclined towards doing things like architecture or parking cars. I'm really good at parking cars because I know I have spatial intellect.
Yeah.
And then going through these different journeys, jack of alls, they figure out different parts of the brain that are stronger. You do stand up, this is stronger. You do architecture, this is stronger. You do lens, this is stronger. Now tell me, what part of architecture helped you in your job as a UX designer for the hologram device?
Oh yeah, great
Yeah.
question.
First of all, what is that device, Express? Because I know that is more than the Apple, what do you call it, the VR device, right?
Yes.
Microsoft's device was actually being developed so that doctors can remotely perform operations, surgeries through integration with some automated robotic surgical systems. And that's what really inspired me from the product. I was not excited because I wanted to play Xbox or something on it, right? So tell me, how did architecture help that, and what was your experience? What was the fun stuff out of it?
Yeah, it was the scenarios that it unlocked, right? Like, meaning, like, just how, like, you're describing it. So, the difference, for those who might not know, is there is VR, which is virtual reality. Virtual reality is basically you wear the device and you're completely virtual. You're not going to have any interaction with the real world
Nothing
at
that
all.
you see is real.
Nothing.
Not even a single pixel.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all digital. In augmented reality, though, you're not only virtual. It's basically you have like a glass,
Right.
so you're still interacting with your world.
Right.
What happens is you have a digital overlay in your real world, so you're augmenting your own reality. So you like this entire surface can become a brick wall, for
Absolutely.
example.
Absolutely.
So you can augment things. Now, what's very cool about this technology is one of the things that I really loved working on, which is now public. This product, it's called Microsoft Remote Assist.
Remote assist.
Yeah. So let's take an example of Boeing. Now, basically, in Boeing, right? Like one of the common scenarios is you have these huge flights that they're manufacturing, and when you're manufacturing these huge flights, when things happen in like technical glitches or mechanical glitches that happen in the flights, the technicians who sit are actually not always on ground in the factory. They are somewhere else out of the country, in Germany or in other countries. So ideally they would have to fly all the way from Germany to Seattle. What does that mean? It's time, effort, energy, all of that. Now, with HoloLens, what they did is, as someone who is part of this, looking at the flight technical errors, I can wear the device and I can basically make a call to someone who's sitting in Germany who has either a phone or this device.
To show them what I'm seeing.
Yes, so whatever I am seeing right now, so if there is a flight right now here, whatever I'm seeing, the technician will see. Now, what was really cool about this is the technician can actually annotate in space and say, hey, like, do you see that yellow wire there? Just unplug that and connect it here. So I am seeing that this guy is annotating in this particular space, and I can just remove and connect.
So जब तक है जान में,
हाँ.
if Shah Rukh Khan had these lenses,
He wouldn't have to go to the bomb situation. Exactly.
wow, was it exciting as it sounds?
Oh my God, it was exciting. It was also a very ambiguous space. Not everything was defined. There were no answers to everything, because it was new tech.
Tell me more about this new world that you
Yeah.
entered, right? What are some things and experiences you'd like to share with other girls that are listening from India or Bangalore?
Yeah.
That are dreaming of coming to work for Amazon and Microsoft or Google here in Seattle or in the Bay Area or anywhere else in the US.
Yeah. Funnily, like sometimes when I reflect, I feel like my life has been a path of coincidences and good chances that have, luckily happened. You can either say I craft my own destiny, or things happen to you by chance. But I think in my case, I have crafted my destiny to a certain extent. But I think I've also been blessed in a way where these coincidences have happened in my life where I've got these opportunities. So when I got into Microsoft, I never thought I would be a person who'll get into a big corporate company. I always thought I'll work in a startup or like a agency like kind of company. So for me, being part of my corporate company was very intimidating. I had like major imposter syndrome. First, I'm surrounded by so many talented people who were so smart and who just knew their like what they're doing, like they were so good. So for me, I was very nervous when I first started at Microsoft. What I really liked is that there were a lot of, again, I think this extracurricular aspect of my childhood shows up even in my career. So I was looking for like different opportunities and what else is happening outside of work at Microsoft. And there was a group called Women in Mixed Reality. It was called Women in Mixed Reality because the org name was called Mixed Reality back then. So as part of that community, we invited a lot of speakers who came and gave talks. And so for me, that was amazing experience because I got to meet other women outside the industry who were doing such amazing work. So I got to like talk to them, understand their story, bring them into Microsoft and empower other people in return. So it was, yeah, I think that was and it's good that there's budget allocated for events. Yeah.
You know what? Actually, this is a good transition into AKELI. Tell me, how was that? Why did you reach out for AKELI? You were not actively acting or doing anything at that
Correct.
point of time. Why did you reach out?
I think, after I did Love You Zindagi, I was not actively in the acting space, but I was doing a lot of dance. Matlab, I was still pursuing like dance outside. So somewhere at the back of my mind is like, I want to do an acting gig. Sometimes this is where manifestation, they say, no? I was telling Mansa also this at one point where it was so funny because I had written ki one of the things that I wanted to do was I want to do a short film.
So you saw my post?
I saw Manasa's post.
Okay.
I think she had reposted what you
Yeah.
had put, and then basically I saw the post, and this is a strange coincidence because this is literally what I felt and I think it was beginning of year if I'm not wrong, because it was somewhere in Jan or Feb, and I was like, wow, what a coincidence! I literally had this feeling that I wanted to take up an acting gig, and this shows up. So I immediately jumped on that opportunity, and I just pinged, you and Manasa about it, and it just happened. So I'm so grateful for that, like even till date. And I think the whole team that I worked with, even from a learning experience point of view, was such an amazing experience for me because it's not just about acting itself, but like how end to end you all went through the
Yeah,
process of
yeah.
scripting and like, production and camera work. Oh, it was.
Shooting, and then you don't even know half of the things we did in post production to get this movie
I
released.
know.
But
Yeah.
let's walk through. Um, so you applied.
Mm.
I'll share what happened
Yeah.
here on our side, right?
Hmm.
So Mansa told me Divya is also interested. I said, wow, because it's it's always the context here is
Hmm.
I want the actress to be first of all good, able to
Mm-hmm.
act, remember lines,
Yeah.
and be in Seattle first of all, right? We are shooting this in Seattle, and then we need her in a few weeks. So these are all the constraints that we
Hmm.
are going through. So there are so many things that I don't want to do. I don't want to build trust right now. I want someone I've worked with in trust, right? So these are how things happen in reality. We judge the people who make the decisions
Hmm.
for whatever decision they made, right? I'm pretty sure the people I did not pick, they will be judging me saying, why did he not pick me, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, there was so many restrictions and so many constraints that we were operating under.
Yeah.
So first concern for me personally was Shruti needs to be distracting. Divya is not distracting. Divya is like Jiva water. Wherever she goes, she will make the structure better. She's a calm person. She's poised. I've worked with you for like months with Love You Zindagi, so I know.
Hmm.
So I was like, challenge है ये तो.
Hmm.
Oh, वहाँ मैं. That's where I got sold. Because from the character, face and look wise, ये इजीली इसको डिस्ट्रैक्टिंग बना देंगे हम लोग. बिहेवियर निकालना पड़ेगा. वो एक्टिंग में आएगा. अब वो चैलेंज है, चलो ले लेते हैं. ठीक है, एकदम लीड रोल नहीं था तो वी वर, इट्स द स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट रोल आफ्टर अनिका. इनफैक्ट अनिका का रोल कुछ भी नहीं है. अनिका इज द नेम से एक लीड फॉर अकेली. रियल में तो पूरा एक्टिंग तो श्रुति कबीर एंड दीस पीपल आर ओनली डूइंग. दैट्स द पर्पस.
Yeah.
So I was like, then one thing I remembered. First time we were acting in Love You Zindagi, for a few months you did some other role. For a few weeks
Oh,
you
yeah.
did some other role, and in mid role they changed your role to something else. And the only thing I remember about that is you did so much better in the other role also, which I did not think that you. I mean, it's just new people, right? I was just impressed, and I was like, she's done this before. That was my bet. That was my only bet. She's perfect from the point of view of who Shruti needs to be, and I also thought you had a chemistry with Mansa, best friend role है तो फिर अच्छा लगेगा. We got you on board. How did you feel?
Oh, I was so over the top. I still remember like I was screaming with joy at home. I was like,
मजा
oh,
आता है
Ray!
ना?
Like my first short film gig, that too
Right?
with, friends that I know and trust. Because sometimes when you're doing a first film, you don't know ki kaise because you've heard so much about the film industry, whether it's a short film or like, feature film. But here there was also that trust factor. So I was like, this is going to be such an amazing experience. And I still remember our conversation when I first spoke to you. And you narrated the script to me, and not the whole script, but like the story, sorry, the story. And like I was so engrossed in that story when you were like narrating it, because I was like, so many parts of it were pulling at my heartstrings. I was like, yeah, I was feeling each person's like what they're going through, what they're experiencing. So for me, I was like, yeah, I couldn't ask for a better, like first role in terms of like what I wanted to play as it. But at the same time, exactly like what you said, I felt Shruti's character was so opposite of who I am as a person in real life. I was nervous. I was like, can I do this part? Because that's when I was auditioning, I did so many takes. I like, practiced again and again till I felt like I was happy to send that clip to you. Because I remember, I think you had given me some references also ki ye movie dekho, isse inspiration lo. So I was also watching like some of those to really like feel Shruti in me. So I was really working on forgetting Divya and trying to embody like Shruti's persona. So for me, that was from an artistic point view, like a point of view, it was such a challenging but also amazing experience because I've never done something like that. So it was yeah, it was such a
Yeah.
cool
So
experience.
tell me more about Shruti. What is Shruti that Divya isn't, including the way you slapped me
Yeah.
for real
Yeah.
multiple times during practice, workshop, and shoot.
Yeah. Oh God, that was the hardest.
Yeah, by the way, I took formal permission from Divya that she can slap me.
Wait, or was it the other way around? I forgot.
No, I took permission from you that are you okay
Huh.
that this character will have to slap Kabir?
Oh.
And then you came and you said, by the way, Divya was taking permission every time she slapped me.
Yeah.
Can I? Can I? Yeah, I
I
know.
was too like.
So tell me, like, how did it go through when I actually shared the screenplay with you and you knew exactly this is what Shruti is? Take me through the process, to the entire shoot. Tell me, from
Yeah.
script to shoot.
So I think I first of all I read the script many times. Like I just read Shruti's dialogues again and again to see, uh, based on what you told me and what her persona is, how would Shruti say? Because I'm not able to relate to Shruti as a character because I'm not that person in real life, right? So I really had to, from like mentally, I had to change my perspective to understand who's Shruti as a person. So I think for me, I could really understand who Shruti is as a person. One is by reading the script multiple times. Two is looking at other references who felt like Shruti. Like I would just observe other people who felt like Shruti in, like real world scenarios. Ki, like this person is like Shruti. And the differences that I saw between me and the part that I played is, I think a part of me all had that Shruti in her from childhood because I was very over the top and something in me changed. But I was like, I'm going to bring that childhood Divya back. So for me, I think it was Shruti is like this, like you said, extravagant, bold, over the top. She is not afraid. She like speaks her mind and she knows how to stand up for her people, for her friends, for her community, and like she's not afraid of advocating for her people, and that's what I loved about Shruti, that usko dar nahi hai. She knows that she's right in her place, and I don't care what anybody else is going to say. I'm going to speak my voice and I'm going to say it. So, what is the biggest difference that I saw in Shruti and me is her extrovertedness. I think Shruti, I don't know if I'm right in my understanding, but it's a very extroverted character.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Extroverted क्या हमने तो इस तरह से लिखा है, she's an attention seeker in a way.
Attention seeker.
Almost borderline, right?
Yeah.
Not so much without intention, but with intention, she doesn't give a shh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the reasons Shruti is also playing Sri Devi in the Bollywood party that they go to. So that's why your hair was also important. Yeah. And what did you think of the script? You were like, kuch bhi hai, I'm going to do it, or you were like, no, this is a script, lucky to have it.
No, like I said, like it was not actually when I read the script. It was when I spoke to you.
Oh, without the script itself, I had narrated it to you. Okay. This did not happen without a director.
Oh, yeah.
What was Michael's role in getting you prepared for Shruti?
Yeah.
Because I think he did a wonderful job.
Oh, yes.
Not just in capturing you, but also in directing you into, like, the scene. And so tell me, how did he prep you?
Oh,
What
yeah.
was your experience working with Michael? Michael is the director of AKELI. He's an American. So maybe what is more important is also how does his Americanness play into, this story which is AKELI purely based like an Indian girl and all those things.
Right.
Like how does that happen?
Yeah, so I think I still remember, when I had my call with Michael, we were basically going through the dialogues. So I was being Shruti and he was playing other parts, and I was going through the dialogues. And one of the things that he told me, the reference that he gave me was Schitt's Creek. So what's her name?
A little bit Alexis.
Yes, Alexis. A little bit Alexis, yes. Yeah, so I just absolutely loved that reference. He was talking about how
Yeah.
Alexis doesn't have any inhibitions.
Damn, Michael never told me this, and
Yeah.
I never told Michael like that's
Oh,
what I was thinking.
really?
But he's bang on
Yeah.
because that's exactly who we wanted
Yeah.
to be super distractive. Wow, that's amazing. So how did that help? That example
Yeah.
helped.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because I mean, you know Alexis as a character, right? Like she's so funny and she's just like she doesn't have any inhibitions and the way she speaks, her quirkiness and all of that. So I think that relatability aspect of it really helped me to understand like how to get that Shruti's character of just like speaking her mind in a way where she's not like afraid to speak it. And what was also very interesting in our uh, interaction was we tried like different tones. So like we would tell the same dialogue in like different tones. So for me that was a big learning moment. I was like, wow, this same line said in this tone sounds completely different when I'm saying the same line in this other tone. It was amazing for me as an artist to learn that इतनी मतलब डिफरेंस कर
ये
सकती है
मेरे अंदर
वॉइस
से ही आ रहा है वो भी
हाँ
हाँ मैं
एग्जैक्टली
ही हूँ ये
मैं लाइक
yeah
इट्स मी
no it's
बट
such a humbling experience right I think everybody
या
should get this as a first time actor
या
you feel like मैं अपने अलावा और क्या करूँगा so मैं तो I am trained so
या
in training में they teach you like you know, what are the different ways to do that but nobody starts with training and then goes to their first for short film somehow the short film actually comes to you first right and you're
या
like oh now maybe I should go and learn acting and all those things right what was the most difficult part of this whole movie thing because it's a 20-minute short film so it's not like and आपका रोल काफी बड़ा है उसमें सब time you are there most of the time you are there what was the most difficult thing preparing for this movie or doing this movie
To be honest, I think one of my biggest challenges was memorizing the dialogues.
is it
And I had, like, I'm someone who likes to be prepared. Like, you know, otherwise I don't feel confident. So for me, having a sense of preparedness is very important. So I didn't want to, like, be there in front of cameras and forget my lines. So I was like, I'm going to practice this and give it my 100%. But it was, you know, like, just memory. And I have, in terms of memory, I wouldn't say my memory is, like, the best. Like, you know, even when I was like, I'm not a route learning type of person. So I think for me it was memorizing the dialogues. And there was a point, I think Michael also gave this tip key, look at it as a story, you know, and I think you had also said it's you stay true to the script, but at places where you feel like improvising a little bit, it's okay to improvise. The thing that I liked about like the realization that I had was, you know, I was so nervous where I'll forget my lines.
yeah
But what surprised me the most was when I came on set, lights, camera, action, hote hi, I was like, I forgot Divya. I felt like I don't know if it was the environment. Also, I think another thing that I feel like helped me become Shruti was my co, like my cast. Everybody, I feel like has contributed
yeah
to bring that out
yeah
because I don't recall forgetting my lines
right
in you know while the shoot that actually took me by surprise ki I didn't surprisingly I thought I would but I didn't
yeah
forget maybe
yeah
because like I was feeling the Shruti energy a lot.
Akeli is selected in the Kolkata Film Festival and in the Paris Film Festival as well. So congratulations on that, on your first short film. Like you know, those are some great things to happen. Serious topic, Akeli, and winning in Kolkata means a lot as a filmmaker, as a writer of Akeli to me. To be honest, in this time, was there anything outside of the film that was triggering and in this particular topic for you, for the in the context of these things? And being a Indian woman in United States, how do you see yourself versus other Indian women who are in India? And what are the things that can get better from your perspective? How do you feel? Because social media में it's either like every woman is unsafe or every woman is so safe that you know why are we even worrying about? None of those things are realistic. So from your perspective, what is your reality?
I remember when I was actually reading the script, you know, it was I kept remembering like incidents that happened to me. Can I share?
Absolutely, yeah, why
Because
not?
no, I'm just curious if I can, in terms
Absolutely,
of
it's
this
totally up to
movie.
you.
Okay, yeah, because you know that ending scene where she's in the cab, Anika, and you know she realizes that she's in
Yeah,
trouble.
something happening. Yeah.
That was, I think, the most relatable, like,
Relatable?
yeah, relatable in the sense, you know, I was just like basically remembering like incidents that have happened with me in my personal life, and I was just thinking of everything that my friends have shared with me, or like what they have gone through, whether it's eve teasing or you know other types of incidents that they have experienced in their life. So I think those, that scene was the trigger scene for me, to be honest. So, and but it also tells a very nice story of Tu Akeli Nahi Hai, right? Like how Shruti and Anika's relationship also plays such an important role in the movie.
That is great.
Yeah.
Because if you see, what Shruti does is she basically protects Anika every time she's around.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it is with Kabir, whether it is with the uncle, or Kabir
Yeah.
coming, or someone else, right, and things like that. But then again, what it also beautifully shows is ki there is not going to be Shruti always, right? So then what do you do, right? How does that happen? And there's no good ending to such a movie, because this is a story of millions and billions of women. How can it have one ending? The ending is what I feel the ending. The ending of any movie,
Yeah.
as such, is actually a reflection of the helplessness of the people writing or the people watching.
Mm.
And that's what my movie making is all about. Now, I know we haven't shown, this is shooting before the release of Akeli. We haven't shown you Akeli.
Mm.
But what is your expectation of the movie? What do you think is going to come out?
I have a feeling it's going to be amazing. It's because I've read the script and I
Yeah.
know the script.
Why should your friends and other girls watch it?
Oh, just watch it. I don't want to say too much, but I think it's going to have like a huge impact on you in terms of even just empowerment. Because I think that last scene is so empowering. You know, I still remember when I was reading the script, I felt so bad as Shruti. I was like, if Shruti sat in that car, if Shruti was with Anika, like I felt like weeping, you know, in that scene. Ki, why was I drunk? If I had not had that shot, or if I had not had that
Wow,
drink,
you went that far?
I felt it.
That's a great sign as an actor, I'll tell you, because your scene was done the moment she leaves.
Huh.
As any other actor.
Yeah.
But you felt the remorse, and I can see it in your concern, because
Yeah.
you may think your scenes are excellent somewhere else, but I think your scene, the most excellent scene, is when you say goodbye to her. That is when I am like, अरे ऐसा कैसे हो रहा है? What is happening? It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is next
Yeah. For me.
for you? Sorry, I know
No,
you
no.
were in a zone. Please say more if you were in a zone. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, that's totally fine. I think that, yeah, because that scene, I remember feeling, you know, those emotions of, I wish, you know, Shruti was with Anika, but at the same time, to your point earlier, I think it's what I really like about that last scene is that, like you said, तू अकेली नहीं है, you know, Shruti is not going to be with Anika. I think that's the point that you were trying to make as a filmmaker, that Shruti is not going to be there all the time, but then she took matters in her own hand. And I think that's about saying, you know, there's no hero who's going to come and save you. There's no friend who's going to come and save you. You can be the person to save yourself in these situations.
What do you do?
As well. Like, what do you do? So, that I think that's a very powerful scene in the end. So
did this experience? I'm pretty sure it was fulfilling.
Yeah.
The way you describe it, I think you are already emotional right now. That's a sad but a great quality for an actor. It's very sad because it's so taxing to be emotional this way. Everything impacts you. Your dog is hurt. You read a bad news. You see a bad article on Reddit. You talk to someone about their problems, and you just. But then that's somehow powerful in terms of profession of acting, because you become a sponge who can absorb anything that is going around in you.
Yeah.
Right? Just like that water structure thing, right? I told you about.
Yeah.
Are you going to chase this feeling? what is next in store for you?
You know, it's so funny you said this earlier in our podcast where you said you do short film and then you realize you want to act. That's
Yes.
what happened with me.
Yes.
I was like, I loved it, like I think it's also working with you all and having a good experience out of it. I think even the experience matters a lot.
Yeah. What was good about the experience?
One, I think the profession, like you all were so professional, start to end. It didn't feel like your first film, to be honest. I was like, wait, is this really your first
Thank
film?
you,
Like,
thank you. All credit goes to Mansa, my co-producer, and
yeah.
shout out to Messier 87 Films. We are going to produce films with purpose, and Jack of all media, we are going to promote films with purpose.
Yeah, I love that. I am so looking forward to other productions that y'all will have with Messier. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think it just the professional ethics that y'all had from start to end, whether it's in terms of communication, how you made people feel during sets. Like, I don't think when all of us were in set, we all felt so comfortable and taken care of. Like, we didn't feel like, अरे ये तो she's just another
Extra
person.
है, ये
हाँ,
support है, ये तो वो है, ये वो है. हम लोग के लिए तो
yes.
this was like a family thing, right? Because see, another thing I want to highlight to the listeners is that both you and I have full-time jobs.
Mm. Yes.
Both you and I have very hard full-time
Yeah.
jobs. So when we do these things like short films or actual feature films like Mansa and I are part of, these are not to have problems.
Yeah.
These are not to have reservations.
Yeah.
These are not to make discriminations.
Yeah.
These are not to be jealous. These are not to for all the negative things that we anyways deal with in our daily job.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
By default, no matter how great your company is, no matter how great your team is.
Yeah.
So when we get the responsibility to produce, to host a group of team or a group as a team for a limited amount of time, we have the luxury to maintain a great culture, and I think we go for that. We want everyone to have a great experience so that not that they come back to Messier 87 films and start, either contributing or might as well. This is a community that we are building. But even if they never come back, they always say the things that you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the impression that we want to leave for people who work with Messier 87.
I love that. And I think that awareness and intention that you just told, Ki, I want to create a good culture is so important, right? It's very easy as a production house to just take a very selfish lens on this and not care, right? I think there are many like that. I've not worked in the industry, but it's just my gut feeling hearing other stories. So for me, that was my takeaway, that y'all created that culture, that environment where it all felt so good start to finish. So thank you for creating that amazing space.
Absolutely. No,
And
thank you so much. And
for-
Messier 87 is
Yeah.
also, and Jack of all both, actually. Our production is now involved in feature films as well. So
yeah.
big things will come in the future. We are writing. We have a writing staff. We have a whole team of post production as well. Or we have produced original music for AKELI. A lot of firsts happen. A lot of firsts happen, and I think you and I both will be very happy with this.
Yeah.
So with that, I wanna say, no matter how much I think I know a person, after they have a 2 or 3 hour conversation with me, I'm like, wow, why didn't we talk to that person longer and earlier? You came, you shared vulnerable anecdotes of your life, you shared some great things that have happened to you. Your positive attitude is very infectious in nature. Your calm demeanor and your peaceful presence is always a creator like me and Mansa look for, because it's anyway such a hard job to write something, to create something, then to coordinate and execute it and bring it to fruition. And the more number of people are like you, it makes our job really easy, because you have the attitude to learn, you have the attitude to cooperate. You're like Jiva water, right? Very noble in brand. And I'm continuously
Yeah.
making sure that I integrate this ad
Yeah.
so that you guys do really well.
Thank you so
Or
much.
I
I
get to
am
be the face
happy.
of Jiva water
Yeah.
someday.
Oh, of course. I'm happy. I'm sure my dad will be ecstatic, like listening to this podcast and like Jiva water as well.
No, but in all
Yeah.
seriousness, wishing all the best to your dad and your family, but very, very much to you.
Mm, thank
I
you.
think you have tons of potential. First of all, welcome to our community. You are now part of it. Let's create great things.
Thank you.
And lastly, I want you to share very in brief, right?
Mm,
In short, some tools that have helped you and your mental health in this pursuit of many different things that you have done. For
mm,
people that are listening, who are
mm.
younger than you, who are probably less privileged than you, what are some tools that are cheap, inexpensive? They don't need great guidance on something like writing a
Mm.
journal or yoga. Can you share some things like that?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I think first of all, mental health is real. And I just want to start by saying that there is no shame in accepting that you're going through something or you're feeling some emotions. So, firstly, become aware of that, like just having that awareness and accepting that, yes, I am going through something can be very liberating. Because sometimes I think accepting the fact that you're even going through something can be suppressive in many ways. So, I think first thing, to not have any shame in terms of feeling what you're feeling and embracing all parts of your mental health and sitting with it. Second, I think once you've embraced it, one of the things that has really helped me in the recent times has been, maybe because I'm a dancer and movement has been such a big part of my life, expression has been such a big part of my life. I do a lot of movement therapy and body tapping. So that really helps me a lot. Like,
Mm.
so when I have suppressed emotions, it's really hard for me to just meditate or for me to write. Like, I can't meditate because my mind is so full and chaotic that I just can't sit still, or, it doesn't help me. And I can't breathe because my body is tight, because of the strong emotions and intense emotions. So if someone asks me to breathe when I'm feeling that, it's really hard for me. So what I first try to, even if it's hard, I try to get up and just move my body in ways that my body just wants to move. It's not to music, it's not a choreography, nothing. I just let my body move in flow, in ebbs and ways, and just ways that it wants to move. But it's extremely helpful because I feel like as I'm doing that, my body feels open and I can just breathe more easily, and then I can meditate. So that's one tool that I can share is try movement. Try, like, you don't need to be a dancer, you don't need to have anything at all. All you need to do is just listen to your body's guide and just try to see, okay, just listen to your body and move, and you will see where your body needs love. So it's very interesting when you start moving and seeing how your body itself will guide you in many ways. The third one is body tapping. I do this a lot when I'm under high stress or
Body
pressure.
tapping.
Body tapping. There are a lot of videos on YouTube if you
Is it
just
a
like.
Western technique or what kind of
It's
technique?
Eastern.
Okay.
I think it's Eastern and it comes from Korean Tai Chi and yeah, like those kind of practices. But basically, it's just like if you have a headache or like, just closing
Yeah.
your eyes and tapping like this. So there are videos where you have chest blockage, you just chest tap
Huh.
like this, but you just close your eyes and breathe and really like just chest tap. So there are a lot of videos if you just say tapping for stress or
I
body
see.
tapping for mental health. There are tons of videos. It's
And it's helpful.
extremely
I've never
effective.
tried it before.
Very, very effective.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite like
Huh.
things to do whenever I find myself
And it's
very.
inexpensive, right? You do it yourself and
Yeah.
you don't have to look
Hmm.
for a professional. One quick thing I want to add is you mentioned that a lot of times you're going through things, and if you are going through things, you need to get help, or you need to
Hmm.
understand and deep
Hmm.
dive into it. I think a lot of people don't even understand when they are going through things.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to share is one good proxy is if you are feeling confused for a long time
Mm.
about certain thing, you're going through something in that particular topic.
Mm. That's a very good
Yeah. So
perspective.
as soon as you feel confused for a uncomfortably longer time, you're like, something is wrong here. Let me extract myself out of that position, of that situation, look at it as a third person,
Yeah.
and then assess that situation.
Oh.
That's only when you get to the stage of acceptance. Because, a lot of, at least the Indian friends that I have, they go only 2 or 3 stages. One is confusion, something is going on, then solution or leaving. Leave thinking about it. I have made peace with it, or there was some solution that they think was a solution. But the whole process of confusion never gets broken down into short and quick confusion, identification, acceptance, assessment, problem solving,
Yeah.
and then going to that. So I want to give that message because it adds to everything that you mentioned. Last thing. All right, Divya. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming on
you.
Jack of All and inspiring millions of my followers. And keep smiling, keep inspiring people like me and others. And we hope to work with you and keep continuing to build products that inspire people, whether it's films or things like Jiva Water.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I can't wait to act more and express more and dance more. So, yeah, looking forward to many more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
amazing.
With
Thank
that,
you.
see you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Bailey, get up, get up, get up. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye.